Hey guys, it's Tyraku here, and today I want to show you guys how you can go about gearing your starter champion, and specifically Kael inside of this account. I've been getting a lot of questions and people wondering how to actually clear the campaign. Typically people are really finding struggle. The new players are really finding difficulties and struggle about around brutal campaign. They can get through most of it, but they're having a hard time 3-starring everything. And if you don't know how to 3-star the campaign missions, all you need to do is have 2 or fewer champions with no losses. Now in this tutorial, obviously this account does have the bad L in here. I'm not going to be using him in any of these examples. That would definitely skew the results, so we won't be using that. I'll strictly be showing you how you can gear your Kael or your starter in any of the starters. It works with Aethel, Elaine, or Gaelic. So how to gear any of them so that you can get through the campaign. So first off, let me jump into my Kael and show you his gear. Now he is level 60, he is fully ascended, and he has full masteries. I definitely 100% recommend buying the masteries, getting him to 60 and getting him to 6-star ascension. This make it much easier to actually go through the brutal campaign, because the brutal campaign is where it gets more difficult. That's where I'm stuck on my other free-to-play account, is actually getting Aethel to 6-star ascension, and then she'll actually be able to go into brutal campaign and clear it without an issue. But if you're stuck on brutal, definitely focus on getting your starter to 60 and 6-star, and then this gear guide and what I'm about to show you will help you get through brutal if you're having trouble. So looking at the artifacts, something I always recommend, these divine life pieces, I have the sword and the shield, are actually the divine life pieces you get from the beginning of the game. I don't know exactly which chapter it is you have to finish in order to get it, but you do get it from the campaign. So everybody should have these 2 items, and the subsets on the items are not a huge determination of whether you should or should not use them. Definitely better substats is great. They shouldn't have bad substats in general. The main stat here is always attack and always defense for shields. The real thing I really like about this though is that you get an additional 15% HP as well as a 15% HP shield for 3 turns, which works really good on your campaign farmer. Now, a thing I talk about a lot on stream is if you're struggling with surviving, go with the divine life set. And if you're struggling with actually doing the damage and actually killing people, go with something more like divine offense. You do get 2 pieces of divine offense, I believe, when you first start as well. It's also from the campaign. Let me see if I have it equipped. Okay, so you also get a sword and a shield, essentially a weapon and a shield. So if the divine life isn't really working for you, definitely switch over to that divine offense, and it could help you out. Now, as far as the other gear set, I 100% recommend Lifesteal. Lifesteal on Kael specifically, or any of the starters really, will be great because against the clan boss, once you have their full masteries, it really helps you stay alive. But since we're focusing on the campaign specifically in this video, I'm going to only explain Lifesteal in the campaign. So since most of the time the healer you're running with may not be able to keep you up fully, like in my case, I'm going to be showing you an example with War Priest, who's not very geared, only 40, 1-star ascension. So she's not gonna be able to keep Kael healed against everybody. So we don't want to rely on her healing only. Instead, we're gonna use the lifesteal gear. And in my case, all this gear was gained from the first 7-day free logins. So every player should have this gear. In this case, obviously I'm using the helmet, gloves, chest piece, and boots. Not using the weapons because I'm using the weapons we got for free from the campaign. Now, as far as the helmet, these are the stats on the helmet. The gloves, the HP percent, not bad. It does give them a little bit more sustainability and survivability throughout the game, but I would almost rather have attack percent, or better yet, crit rate. That would definitely help his crit rate. Right now, it's pretty underwhelming. I like, right here, 29%. So his crit rate's not anything impressive. His chest piece is resistance, kind of useless. Especially some of the campaign levels, it's not too bad. You are able to resist some of the poisons, which actually do help you progress, but I definitely wouldn't have chosen to put a resistance chest piece on Kael if I didn't get this piece from the free login rewards. I would much rather have an attack percent chest piece, or possibly even HP or defense percent, something that either gives him more damage or more survivability. Resistance just isn't what I would have wanted to have by choice. Boots, the attack percent actually works out pretty good for the campaign. We don't need a ton of speed, but as far as arena goes, I would definitely rather have speed boots. So as you can see, this Kael is definitely not like top tier gear decked out to be able to blow through the campaign easily. This is relatively where most beginner players should be, and this Dark Elf ring is actually the one you get. I'm pretty sure from the missions. You get a ring from all the starter factions, I believe. So this is just a basic ring. Once again, the substats here are not anything amazing. It does have attack and defense, which is pretty nice, and attack main stat, which is good. Obviously, most of my gear is taken to 16. I haven't bothered to take the chest piece to 16 just because it's resistance, and it's not really going to make a huge difference for the campaign specifically. Now, we'll jump over to the campaign. Kael is able to solo Chapter 12, all the stages, basically. I'll show you an example here. He should be able to solo this. I'm pretty sure that's how I actually finished it. It may take a few tries to actually make the RNG hit correctly, and you may have to even do it in manual, but I've seen a lot of people, and I've worked on inside of some other accounts, where they struggle a lot with going through this Chapter 12, Stage 7 specifically, with 2 champions, because one of them die, and then you only get 1 star. So instead of doing that, just take your Kael, or if you have somebody else, even in this case, take your Kael, do it solo. You can beat it perfectly fine. You get the 3 stars, no problem. Like I said, this may or may not work this first time. I think I had to run it a few times initially to get the RNG to land correctly. Sometimes this boss hits extremely hard, but I think we should be fine here. So as you can see, he's getting a shield every now and then from the last fight when he killed some people. He gets a shield. That's part of the Masteries. So he 3-starred that easily. It's on brutal. So that's an example of how good Kael does by himself. And if I would have brought somebody else, they probably would have died. Now, what is arguably the most difficult stage in all, the most difficult chapter in all of the campaign, at least in my opinion, is Chapter 11. The reason why is because Stage 7 is weak affinity. So as you can see here, it's a force affinity, which means, as you look up here, this thing, force is strong against magic. So Kael is magic affinity, so he's taking harder hits from this boss, and he's not doing as much damage. So in this case, Kael is not able to solo it very easily, at least not with the current gear he has. So I'll bring in, well, before I jump into showing you this next campaign battle, I want to show you the gear of War Priest, because I showed her initially at the beginning of this video, and she didn't have this pair of boots on her. So I did recently put this pair of boots on her, because I tried doing this stage of the campaign several times without those boots, and she kept dying. It was weird because right before I tried filming this video, I tested it out. First try, she beat it. I tried it a few times just now, she's not beating it. So let's jump into this campaign battle. We'll hopefully do 1 take, and she'll be good to go. But she's still not optimally geared. She's not fully ascended. She doesn't have the best gear on her. It's all pretty low star life gear, but it's enough to get you through it with Kael and War Priest. The main goal of War Priest here is just to bring a little bit extra healing utility. She's not here for big damage. When she lands her freezes, it's awesome, but I'm not very worried about her landing her freezes. Even that little attack buff isn't bad. I really want her just to stay in above the HP of Kael for as much as possible, or at least high enough to where she's not getting targeted by these people. Once she starts getting targeted, things start to go a little bit crazy for her, because she can't take a lot of damage. But if Kael's being focused, because he is the weak affinity here, and he will be focused the majority of the time, then War Priest will survive, and you'll be able to clear this campaign level without much of an issue. Now, you only have to clear it once with 3 stars, so you don't have to go through this with both of these people alive 1 time. So if it takes you 5 times, 6 times, 7 times to go through this campaign without dying, that's all you need. But like you can see here, my Kael is not necessarily optimally geared. This level, his resistance chest piece did come in handy because he was resisting that boss's cooldown reductions and stuff. But let's jump into showing you their gear one more time to show you how well. So you already seen Kael's attack, resistance, and HP percent, and nothing crazy. But this is what he has set up for the weapons for a little bit more survivability. If he didn't have that, he would be doing more damage, ideally with an immortal set or possibly an offense set. I like, not immortal set, I'm sorry, the divine offense. The reason why I like the divine sets is because they give you this extra 15% HP shield, which is nice. Now jumping into War Priest, just so you can get an idea of what I have her in. She has HP percent gloves, level 13, and level 10. Defense, HP, and then just some speed sets make her faster. This was originally for the arena, but I don't use her in my arena team no more. So she just has low level gear. So the War Priest, definitely nothing impressive here. If you had a 5-star War Priest or even a fully ascended War Priest, you wouldn't even have to have this good of gear if you could even call this gear good. So that's a guide on how you can take Kael and clear the campaign entirely. You definitely want to have your Masteries done. This really helps, especially this one right here. Places a shield buff on this champion whenever I kill an enemy. You could see going into each round, I believe I had 2 shields on me, which is something you really want, as well as this heals about 5% of the damage inflicted when attacking with 50% HP or less. This is massive. It's a little like, basically gives you an extra lifesteal, albeit a much less version of lifesteal, but any heals you can get definitely help when you're going through the campaign and you're a little bit lower level. So that's how you can use Kael or really any starter to get through the campaign fully on brutal. You'll get your sacred shard at the end. You definitely want to go through it with the 3 stars, all of it. Kael level 60 can do exactly that. Like I said, this is ideally the setup that I use. I don't have any necklaces or banners, as you can see. I just have the free 7-day gear that you get from the first 7-day login rewards, and then the 2 divine life sets that you get from the campaign initially. So I hope this video helps you with getting through the campaign. Like I said, I've had several people wanting to know how they can get through the campaign, thinking that their Kael cannot get through the campaign, but I want to show you here that it is very possible, and you really don't need anything crazy as far as gear goes, and you can do it on auto. You don't even have to turn it off of manual. You may have to run it a few times. You may die the first few, but give it several attempts, and then you'll definitely be able to clear it. So if you want to jump into this stream and join us live on Twitch, we stream every day so far from 11 p.m. to about 3 a.m. Eastern time. We also have a Discord, which I'll leave the Discord and the Twitch link in the description below. Leave a comment below about any videos you want to see in the future. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching again. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.